Make sure I'm recording. Like the option went away, huh?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh, there we go. Anuna, peace and love.
Peace and love, Banana. Rich girl.
Okay, yeah. So I chose this divine warning this time because I had different visuals and things were highlighted. You brought this up when I was reading. He was like, "Oh, they got the flags up." So whoever might not know, uh, these flags that Hillary Clinton is speaking in front of, one representing the Moorish Empire, one the Star Spangled Banner. She's in a room of the White House called the Benjamin Franklin Room, which is a room that is antique. They just they keep it, they refurbish it to make sure it's still
In
in
condition.
condition or whatever. But the room is an ancient room, so you have to ask yourself if this was before 1956, what flags are these? What Moroccan flag is this? Um, so okay, the mic not working. Okay. Um, like I say, it's teaching points for the general public to help them understand the paradigm. And when we say the Moorish paradigm, what it all entails, and then visuals like this, common sense stuff. Oh, this is in the Benjamin Franklin room. This pretty much is an expression of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1986. That's what this is expressing. That's why our flag is on the left. International law, whatever flag is on the left represents the home team, similar like in sports. Home team is always on the left. Any scoreboard, any sports game you go to where they got scoreboards, the home team will always be on the left. They got that principle from an international law principle, designating who's home and who's the foreigner. But the treaty is a treaty between two nations. It's a contract. So you're looking at a contract behind Hillary Clinton in the Benjamin Franklin room. Same thing with Obama's wife. She spoke in front of it before. Same thing. It's more our flag on the left is actually engulfed. It's engulfing the banner. That's how it's positioned in the room. It's two Moorish flags and one banner and a sandwich in between it. If that don't tell you something, uh, and what do we have here? We're looking at Noble Drew Ali, most famous picture, sombrero. President of Cuba gifted him the sombrero. He has the treaty representation up. Remember, Noble Drew Ali was alive before the Kingdom of Morocco was established. He has a Moroccan flag before the Kingdom of Morocco was even established. All right. He's saying in the 101s, we ancient Moroccans before the Kingdom of Morocco was established.
You even spoke to someone at the park.
Oh,
Yeah, footage.
footage. We got footage. We were shooting footage for
Music video.
something we got in the future. And a brother from the Kingdom of Morocco came out. And he was like, oh, yeah, Morocco, it go deeper than just Kingdom of Morocco. The Ottomans, the Turks, and you start talking about the ancient, and you start talking about Cordoba, Tripoli, Tunis, all these Moroccan and Moorish states that fell. These are all ancient Berbers, ancient Moroccans. So the whole world know. It's not really a secret. It's just some participating in the agenda to perpetuate the slave narrative because it's beneficial with big business. Are people being victims and not knowing this information? It's big business. All right. So this is Noble Joe Ali representing the treaty. All right. What flag is on the left? Up. Noble Joe Ali was giving you a demo of international law in your face. All right. Also, what was highlighted is he's distinguishing. He keeps saying free national government, free national government. So we got a Black's Law Dictionary quote and visual to distinguish the difference between national and federal. All right. And it also goes in the definition when you look up free national government or national government in the law dictionary, Black's Law Dictionary, fourth edition, you're going to say, and within that definition, a federal government is distinguished from a national government, which means it's the opposite. So a national government, what's the opposite of that? A federal government. What will be a federal government? The U.S., right? So just to make things clear, and it's not to say this in a way to be like, oh, we're anti and we're sovereign citizen. It's just you have to approach it the right way. For one, we need to be a nation state first. But two, we want to put out the information so we can see where Noble Drew Ali mind frame was at, and not get lost in what's promoted because most Moorish science temples aren't talking about Noble Drew Ali in this fashion. You may get a membership card from a Moorish science temple that say you are a citizen of the USA. You might come across this information before you come across Khalifa Society or any type of Moors that's giving you the demonstration of Noble Joe Ali and his proper intention, right? So that's why we're talking about this in this space. But most people don't get this demonstration. And it's just, once again, we're going to be talking, this is the dojo in a sense. So when we're talking with the general public, they're going to be hitting you with questions. You just want to be equipped as possible to answer these people, answer our people's questions. And this is some of them. That's what comes with it. Oh, I went to a more science temple when they said we're U.S. citizens, and or is this a religion? And what exactly is this? And so but that's that. Uh, Once again, it's another picture. The flag's on the left. Home team on the left. This represents the treaty. This was before 1956. It was actually 1928. The date's right there, bottom right corner.
Makes it not like French. So every time you think, I think like French or France. So seeing the flag way before 1956 helps a lot with our people and like other, especially like the gas station. They always think like French Moroccan, but it's like, no, it's like way beforehand. And us, Noble Drew Ali looks like us, not as in more, so it's not like some, tan person, with all due respect, but how you, that's all.
Yep. Any other thoughts on that before I transition to the next aspect of my demonstration?
She's on a typewriter, right?
Yeah, it's typewriter right there. Yeah.
Clerical officer. Making it happen.
Secretary, organization, right? It's assignments. People got government structure, right? Public. That's perception too, for you to pick that up. Uh,
Even adjust it up.
how does it look for everybody in the chat? Everybody can see that? Is that hurting
Yeah,
your eyes?
yeah.
Yeah,
It ain't hurting your eyes. It's just pretty.
You can zoom in if you guys need to see
yeah.
better.
We can pinch them if we need to like see.
Okay.
Right.
So once the other things people gonna get hit with is the whole Shriner thing, Mason thing, or y'all part of the lodge. So especially the new brothers, man, the people that's new in this space. Let me see, Brother Jamar, CJ, pretty much everybody. So the purpose, I think I gotta mute somebody. Somebody getting chased by a dog or something.
What happened?
Did I say somebody get chased by a dog? I gotta mute somebody.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself just in case.
Oh, that's right. That was you. That was you. Okay.
No, no, I'm in the house. I don't know. No, that's not fucking with no dogs. Excuse my legs. Sorry.
That's all good. All right. So the purpose of this book, by the way, this is uh, the Masonic compass and square and their connection to the measurement and timekeeping. This was what I'm referencing by Brother Abdullah El Talib Mosby Bey. So the purpose of this book is to present masonry in its proper astronomical, geometrical, and mind development perspective. The general public is not aware that the symbols used in masonry are in fact measurement devices used for surveying land, charting the summer and winter solstice, charting the alignment of Orion, Taurus, and the Pleiades star clusters, and measuring and charting the annual flooding of the Nile River, which is caused by the heliacal rising of Sirius on July 4th, marking the Egyptian New Year. In Masonic lodges, Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, is known as the burning star. In the book Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike discusses the significance of Sirius. Ancient astronomers saw all the great symbols of masonry in the stars. Sirius shines in our country's house like the flaming star. The reader will also learn that the most celebrated ceremonies in masonry, St. John's Day, on June 24th, is tied to the summer solstice on June 21st. On June 21st, in the northern hemisphere, the sun is at its highest point of elevation and his farthest northern position from the horizon, at which time the sun stops his apparent motion. The etymology of solstice is sol, which is Latin for sun, and stis, which is Latin for stand. The sun's apparent motion stops or stands still for 3 days, June 21st, June 22nd, and June 23rd. On June 24th, the sun begins his apparent southerly motion. During the St. John's Day celebration, the Masons lay the cornerstone or keystone in the northeast. The northeast is the apparent rise of the sun on June 21st, marking the summer solstice. Further, the reader will learn that the tilted cross used by the Knights Templars is positioned at 23.5-degree angle and represents the precession of the equinoxes. But the public has been given a distorted view of masonry and thereby are afraid of the symbols. The people have been told that masonry is the worship of the devil, Satan, and Lucifer. This astronomical approach to teaching masonry will raise the mental frequency of humanity and inspire the people to have a greater respect and appreciation for nature and womanhood. Masonry is the science of nature and the cosmic laws that maintain the natural order of the universe. The seven cosmic laws of Tahuti are cause and effect, rhythm, mentalism, correspondence, polarity, vibration, and gender. The name Jew is a modern English translation of the Egyptian name Tahuti. The Greek name Hermes is a substitute for the Egyptian name Tahuti. The Roman name Mercury is a replacement for the Egyptian name. So once we
It's
comprehend,
crazy. That's a lot.
so I'm gonna
Sorry.
break. I know I read a lot. So I'm
I
gonna
know, like,
put a
go ahead.
narrow way. If you got something, yeah, please. Any type of thoughts, I would love to hear the thoughts.
No, it was a lot. Like I took it in. It's just interesting. Just for me personally, my brother's birthday is the 21st and mine's the 23rd. I thought that was interesting. But these dates, and I see a lot of those compasses all the time, so that makes a lot of sense. It's just this clear up a lot of things for me. That's all.
Beautiful.
It's
That's beautiful.
fire.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Man.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I wanted to add in Muslims in your everyday life. Pay attention to the sigils in the logos as well. That's part of Freemasonry.
Yeah.
So every you're around town, you see these logos and sigils.
Yeah.
That's part of the programming as well. So always pay attention to that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, honey. You see compasses on buildings and all over cars. Yeah, Yeah, you pay attention. You'll see it.
So the sun stands still twice a year. Like I remember you was reading the 21st. It appears like standing still, but then like December, like 21st or something like that, sun stands still for 3 days. It reminded me of like I didn't know that the sun stood still on 21st of June. It reminded me of Christmas when Jesus was in the tomb and he moved the stone. It's like the winter solstice. Oh, there we go. Huh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. That's the winter solstice. We're talking about the summer solstice.
Oh,
Yeah,
that. Third.
yeah. But regardless of what solstice, the word solstice etymologically means sun at a standstill. That's what
Mhm.
solstice means.
Soul,
Third.
sun,
Solstice.
thing.
Yeah. So no matter if it's winter or summer, but it's always a ritual behind um that those gates. I don't remember that's one of the four gates. That's on the top of the fez. Um, the Masonic ritual for the summer, they doing St. John's Day, and they put in the capstone at a certain position in the northeast because that's the highest point of the sun, right? So most people don't know that. Most people don't know even the Jesus story is tied to the winter solstice, 3 days in the tomb. Um, and just the symbols itself, like the compass and the square. Most people see the Masonic sign. That's just geometry. That's a compass. That's how you create circles. You stick one and then you rotate it,
Into England.
and it's angles. You talking about degrees, angles and
Yeah,
degrees.
you know.
You know what I mean? Mhm. Oh, and Yazir
Oh,
Bey, peace and love. I'm not sure if I agree, Yazir Bey.
I don't think so.
Yeah, peace and love, Yazir Bey.
peace and love, Morris.
It's not.
Yeah, yes. I wanted to add in as well when it comes to the compass and squares. Moors being navigators. The masters of the seven seas. Well, we all know the compass has 32 angles. So do the math. 2 plus 3 is 5. That equals life. The number 5 equals life in Masonic order. This is why it's so mystical, man. Everything is so mystical out here.
And we're gonna get into the Knights Templar, they symbol. Everything's based on the stars. Remember, nothing new. Everything comes from the Moorish science. So the reason we're going over this is for especially the new brothers. They gonna, once y'all start getting y'all fezzes, turbans, and y'all get interface with people, they gonna y'all y'all Masons, y'all Shriners, y'all Knights Templars, y'all Knights of Columbus, and you gonna have to explain the difference and also know the origin of the Masonic Lodge. Remember, we can't forget all they marking their fezzes and all that, that come from an origin of the Slav that we, had to, oh, they belong to this tribe, nation state. Or they belong to the Tunis, the Moors in Tunis. Or these Slavs belong to the ones in Granada. These Slavs belong to the one in Cordoba. And now that's the origin of that. So you have to even know that part too. And we gave a couple of the Slavs signs and symbols. So even today, how we're talking about the signs and symbols, people that attend the lodge, I'm talking about people paying dues to the lodge, that are lodge members, don't even know well how we're talking about it. They 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 giving them they teaspooning them where they talking about 10 years to even read 33 degree type stuff. 50, you know what I mean? So that's another thing, you need to know. More science is the uncut 360 degrees, you know. Um, that's what they learn about when they start getting their higher degrees. Ruth the Moabites. They start going into these. Well, for them, is adept. That's adept to them. So I'm just letting you know that it's an honor to be in the divine light because you could have been caught up in all these other institutions that's not even you spinning your wheels. You happen to be in the Moorish paradigm, so I want to throw that out there too. Let's see.
Hey, yeah, I wanted to add in as well. The city of Washington, D.C., for example, the city is Masonically designed as well by Benjamin Bay, aka Benjamin Banneker. The city of Washington, it sits like a clock. In the center, you have the star there in the center, just as like the Moorish flag. Also, they have four streets that are situated facing the sun of all the zodiac, excuse me, the four cardinal points. The sun rises on those four streets when it hits the, for example, the spring solstice, the fall equinox, winter solstice, and I think I'm missing one, but yeah, the sun actually rises on those four streets. It's so masonically set up. I yield.
Wow. Wow for that.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I was distracted. I couldn't even explain it correctly. I yield.
Oh, no, you good.
Mhm.
You good. I'm just looking at my next slide to see how I want to approach this. Uh, so another aspect of Freemasonry, you gotta know the origin that they used to be knights. These knights were sent by whatever Holy Roman Emperor or later Pope, later in the game Pope, that sent their foot soldiers to go to war against what they call the Saracen or the Ottomans, or the Muslims, or basically the Moors, us. But these are, keep in mind, these people were Moors too. They were just Roman Moors. But that's another layer that most of the public's not really, the general public is not, I ain't gonna say they might be, but you can test the water. I don't really go that far in my demonstration until I see the person in front of me ready to handle that. Because most people think of Romans as blonde hair, blue eyed people and all this type of stuff. But y'all can use your discretion or whoever's in front of you. But yeah, we need to know this information though. All right, so these Roman Moors and their foot soldiers, Knights Templars, Knights of Columbus. So at this time, it's not a Masonic lodge. These are actual military arms of the Roman Empire. So that's pretty much all I wanted to highlight with this slide without going too in detail. But y'all can take a picture of this if y'all want to read that passage. And look at some of their names. um, the Order of Christ, Knights Templar, the Order of Christ, Order of the Knights of our Lord Jesus Christ, So once it got Romanized, they using Christianity was political. It got turned political, right? So now when they conquer lands, they forcing the indigenous people that get conquered, if they're successful, if they happen to, be successful and conquer that area, the first order of business is to turn them Christian, get them away from their indigenous culture. One of those military groups that were sent to do just that was called the Order of the Knights of Our Lord Jesus Christ. All right, to comprehend this, when you're talking about the Christian Crusades, that's just general. We're talking about the specifics of it. It was different knights, different orders. All right, so now we want to know the origin of what today are just Masonic lodges, but they have a history, and their job was to destabilize the quote unquote Ottomans, Turks, Muslim, Jews, anybody that's not under the Catholicism, wherever they may be. I don't care if it's Vietnam, Philippines, wherever. Turn these people Catholic, Christian, have them beef with each other.
Mm.
Have them beef with each other, and then we're gonna come in and with the last little fatal blow. All right. What else did I want to highlight? Oh, before I get into that. So we talking about the Christian Crusades, the Spanish Inquisition, um, is part of that. So the date 1526 was fatal in the history of Andalusian Moriscos, for in that year the Inquisition of Jean transferred its residence to Granada. This move was accompanied by the issue of regulation forbidding Morisco to use the Arabic language or Moorish clothes or even Moorish names. So now again, we're getting into where it was you couldn't even have Moorish garb on, speak. That was part of the Inquisition. 1492, part of our empire that fell, Al-Andalus, Cordoba, these areas, the Moriscos are the ones that didn't get deported or expelled um, to South America and all that. They decided to stay and adopt a Christian lifestyle so their children and stuff won't get killed off pretty much. Uh, that was 1492. They practicing their culture in the house, basically. But they still got the garb on and all that. Move forward to 1526, they like, um, I'm not sure if it was King Ferdinand or one of his successors, but it was outlawed where you can not, no, they can't even wear a garb or nothing. Because what was happening was you had the Moors that were like Muhammad II and the crew that was coming in heavy. They called it Turks. They trying to shut down Constantinople and all this. But then on the other side, a little farther, Al-Andalusian, we getting shut down. Ferdinand and Isabella shutting us down. So they trying to make sure there ain't no revolution popping up. They're like, nah, y'all ain't y'all ain't for that because the empire was big. We wasn't just all fell like that. It was just pockets, but a lot of us were still intact, and they didn't want to get blindsided from the back. You know, so just a little backdrop. Um, so finally in 1567, an edict, which is a papal bull or a pope directive to do certain things, was published in Granada by the authorities along the lines of the 1526 regulation. By this measure, all the rites, customs, and language of the Moriscos were forbidden under penalty. Books in Arabic were destroyed, and Moorish clothes were forbidden. The list of prohibitions amounted to the suppression of every national characteristic of the Moriscos. Moriscos is derived from the word Moroccan. So, yeah, this is just stuff to have in your database historically. Um, you know, So you can just know law and history go together. You just need to know how stuff went down in our history. Uh,
Hey, Mafi,
uh,
if I can add in something with the Inquisition, that Moors were persecuted routinely, right? And all it took was hearsay at in those times, and you could be dragged into court, and you didn't have the right to face your accuser. Everything was based on hearsay, and you had to auction off all your property to pay for your defense and to pay the state at that time. I just wanted to add that in as far as the Inquisition was concerned, and many times there was torture involved with that as well. So our people lived under constant scrutiny, and they had to endure a lot there in Spain during that time. I just wanted to add that. I yield.
yep, that's fine. Mhm. So I want to also highlight um, charitable organizations, the redemption of European captives. So on the flip side, we had different contractual negotiations with certain Slavs that we gave satellite kingdoms and stuff. We let them run certain things. It's kind of like Vlad and Muhammad II. He was fighting against Vlad. That was somebody that his father, which was a sultan, he allowed basically a Slav. He gave him a little power and allowed him to have like a little dominion and like a subsidiary area of the empire. And then he got too big for his britches, and that's how the Ottomans, that documentary or that show on Netflix is takes place. Um, so the Slavs still was paying tribute to our sultans and things like that. So some of them was acting like Vladimir or Drake, Dracula, and we were, we would take their stuff and sink their ships and hold them for ransom until they higher ups would pay their fee, and we would release them. All right. So I wanted to just set the stage before I start reading this. And mind you, when I'm reading is the sole motivation of one of the reasons on why they was coming so hard, or how they even got the foot soldiers, how the Roman Moors even got these foot soldiers, these knights, to even be used as torpedoes. We're gonna show you how they got their allegiance. So many charitable associations were established during the 12th and 13th century to negotiate the ransom of impoverished European captives held in Moorish and Turkish captivity. John D. Matha founded the Order of the Holy Trinity and Redemption of Captives in 1199. Pope Innocent III approved the order in 1198. The order is known in France as Maternes or yeah, Matherans or Donkey Brother. Stanley Lane Poole and James Douglas, Gerald Kelly, in the book Barbary Corsairs gives account of the order's ransoming Europeans held in Moorish captivity. So this is a quote from that book. So Martha's Verse voyage in 1199 brought back 186 captives. 186 captives. And in succeeding generations, some 20,000 Slavs were rescued by the Good Fathers. Clad in their white robes in the blue and red cross. On the breast, three colors symbolical of the three persons, or the Trinity rather, firstly confronted the Corsairs and bartered for the captive's ransom. So in this book called Barbary Corsairs, the author is talking about how Slavs were ransomed. So Slavs were in captivity, but people came and paid the Moors to release them. Who are the people paying the Moors to release these slaves? The good fathers, the saints, the popes, the saints, it's that Roman saints, um, the head of the Catholic Church, right? People that ambassadors for the Pope, pretty much. Why is that relevant? Because once you in captivity and then you get released by some people, oh, thank you, Father. Now you know you down with that. Now, for us releasing y'all, we're gonna need y'all to go to war against these heathens and non-believers. They more inspired. Oh yeah, you just released us from captivity. These barbarians. Right? So now the Knights Templar, Knights of Columbus, Knights of Malta, now they torpedoes. We got an army behind us. Oh yeah, we about to get some get back. Y'all just had us in captivity. So I'm just giving y'all some background. Look, the Order of the Virgin Mary. Come on. At this time, it was a military arm. The Order of the Virgin Mary was going against the Moors. And most of our people under the spell of the Virgin Mary. Now you see how what was going on back then, what the intention was to destabilize us as a people, think we separate. And you see, fast forward to today, you see the aftermath. And now you see the work we're trying to do to try to unscramble all that. But we need to know how everything went down to unscramble it. Law and history go together. One second, please. So now, okay, so now I can go into, okay, so now, especially for the new brothers, practical. I went into this last week to a degree as far as they got the feds, also known as the Liberty Cap and the coat of arms of El Salvador, Central America. I like to use this when I'm talking to people from El Salvador and Central America, Nicaragua, Belize, uh, even Haiti got the same coat of arms. They got the Liberty Cap, feds in the middle, you know. Um, yeah, just stuff to have in your toolbox to, we kind of unite the people. We got to show them their culture and that we know it, that we've been studied up. Because people can feel it. I was talking to a Mexican brother, or actually my uncle, no, my cousin. Yeah, we had like a little family function yesterday. I was talking to my cousin. You know, I was like, the only reason we ain't united with the quote unquote Latinos is the gang culture. Crips, Bloods, Vice Lords, Serenos, Norteños, NBA rapper. That's the only space. But if you take away the jail politics, or that type of space, we work together. Go to any concert. Just go to a concert. Oldies, funk, whatever. You're gonna see all Mexicans there. Going to see Earth, Wind, and Fire and all the Gap Band, right? So the instinctively we know we're the same people. We just need to put all this information out there and organize with some intention and some economical backing that came from us. We're not worried about somebody else giving it to us. We pouring into a centralized treasury, et cetera, and executing plays. That's what we're doing. Whether it's land, housing, you know, being able to be in a position to employ one of our active members that have been buying into what we're doing, promoting what we're doing, um, et cetera. Now we're talking about government structure.
Even with the top.
Um, so as a result of the Inquisition against the Moors, known as the Spanish Inquisition, millions of Moors are classified as Spanish, Latino, and Puerto Rican. Today, Moorish culture is preserved in some of their coat of arms of South and Central American countries. All right, so I pretty much just summarized what I just read. So, what did the Spanish Inquisition do? What was going on before the Spanish Inquisition? Oh, remorse. What happened after the Spanish Inquisition? Black, Latino, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Indian, Native American. See what they did? Now it's a North and South Korea with different politics. Now it's a North Vietnam and South Vietnam with different politics. Now the island of Haiti. Some of our people think they're Dominican Republic, some of them Haitian. They're not on the same page. You see what's going on?
Dividing.
Divide and conquer. That's what the
Definitely.
Spanish Inquisition did. You got
Live,
something, Benjamin Bay?
I was saying just remind me if living off our virtues, uh, declassifying us, making us blacks, Latinos, and such forth, and not Moors. No, that's what it reminded me of. The only way they can do that by making us blacks and all that, and because you can't live off us if we are proclaiming that we are Moors through living life in general. By you,
Islam. Islam, man. It's the only paradigm that can unite people to this capacity. I think that was all the slide for this one. So let me go to the next one. Okay, so we're talking about the Knights Templar, which is one of the Masonic fraternities. So let's look at a visual. Um, so this is a Masonic fraternity called the Knights Templar. Um, Donald Trump is a member of this fraternity. So you see they have the cross and it's tilted 23.5 degrees in the center. All right. And you see they got the crosses on the bottom corners too, right? So let's break down all these signs and symbols because everything has an origin. When you get to the origin, you're going to see it's just more of science, the study of the heavens. So this is the concept of that, where they're getting that from. Now we have the four gates, because that's anciently with the cross. It was the earth glyph. It's the cross. Any ancient culture looks at the cross as the earth glyph. Four gates, just like I said earlier about the top of the fez. It's the same expression. The four gates, the four major seasons. All right. The sun is at a certain position at these times. If it's a solstice, the sun is standing still. That's what we learned so far, right? The only solstice is the extreme poles, summer, winter. If it's autumn, if it's spring, we're dealing with the equinoxes. That gives you the four gates, the four major seasons. And it's celebrated by indigenous cultures worldwide in different forms. The cross represents Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Now you also see the tilt. 23.5 degrees is the tilt of the Earth as it's making that orbit. Angles of light. Why is that important? Because the sun is hitting parts of the Earth with a different purity of light or intensity of light at a certain orbit. That's why it's summer in the northern hemisphere, but it's winter in another hemisphere, depending on where you at on the planet. Okay.
Hey, Mark, I got a question.
Okay.
Do you think the earth is flat or is it round?
Me personally, I think it's flat.
I do too. I yield, that's all.
Wow. So now let's analyze the cross, or what most people call the Coptic cross. So we're looking at the cross anciently, the Earth glyph cross, and then the one next to it is the Galactic cross. Like I just said earlier, the Earth glyph cross, Libra, Cancer, Aries, Capricorn. The Galactic cross, you're dealing with Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. This star next to it is used in, we just saw, in the Knights Templar emblem. When the Galactic cross and the Earth glyph overlap, it creates that. Now, the Galactic cross, which looks like the X, right? It kind of symbolizes the X. That's the expression right here. You see the arms cross. Anciently, that's what that's expressing. We're dealing with the energies of what? Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio. So we just want to take the Masonic symbols that's used and understand where they're getting it from. We don't want to give that too much power or have it be like, oh, all them symbols, that's the devil. Stay away from that. We need to understand where they hijacked it from. So when the Earth cross or the Coptic cross and the Galactic cross overlap, it gives you the 8-point star. So now we're dealing with the energies of Libra, Leo, Cancer, Taurus, Aries, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Scorpio. Now we're dealing with the Confederate flag. Now we get what we're looking at now. We're looking at the Confederate flag, and we're looking at the British flag. We all, I ain't gonna assume most of us, but the new brothers, when people talk about the Confederate flag, once again, they're turning our ancient stuff. Oh, that's a sign of hate. That's the Confederate flag. White supremacists. But when you do the knowledge on Confederate, what's Confederate? That's something that the people of the land established. Any confederation, like the Iroquois Confederation, commercially called, any Moors I got, any type of nation states, what they call tribes, nation states form conglomerations. So 5 nation states clicked up and formed confederations. So only people with Confederate flags are the Moors that were already here that united amongst each other. So the Confederate flags are not something to run away from, but not a sign of hate. Now let's look at the British flag. The ancient, who were the Brutish Moors? The Moors. So the original British were looking at, remember, all flags on the planet got some type of star or some type of arrangement, right? Because all it was dealing with anciently was astronomy. All ancient communities understood as above, so below. So now you understand the British flag. Now that you got the demonstration, you're looking at the Coptic cross and the Galactic cross overlapping. That's the British flag. Now you know the origin of the flag. Now you can explain this to somebody else.
My bad. Can you sorry.
Hey,
Could you explain the Confederate flag part again? Or just go over it real quick again, like how you explained it.
okay, so the
Like
Confederate
how
flag.
it represents the Moors, and it's not actually like a white supremacist flag.
Oh yeah. So when you look up the Iroquois Confederation, those are 5. They're going to promote it like 5 Indian tribes that came together and formed a union.
Iroquois Confederation.
Yeah.
Okay.
But these are all Moors that had tribes, whether it be Yana, Seneca, Inca, and then the Weta, what they call Cherokee. They clicked up basically because the foreigners were coming over here, and it was like, let's stop our silly differences and let's form these confederations. So a Confederate flag, anybody with a Confederate flag in the Americas
Mhm.
was those Moors that formed those confederations,
Okay.
those unions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, for sure.
So ain't got a British flag up there too?
Yeah. So now, did you see the demonstration that I showed you? Now that's the Earth glyph and the galactic cross and the Earth cross overlapping, right? Yeah,
So
so that's
so the Slavs don't even know what that cross really represent then, right?
no, the Slavs don't, but the royal families do.
Okay.
Um, and like I say, why do we need to know this information? Is because that's what people are gonna be asking. Like, what's the origin of this? What's that? What's that? And once you can use stuff that most people already know, like I like to use common points like the Boston Tea Party, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin. People know about these people from school, so I just like to expound on what they kind of already familiar with. People know about the Confederate flag. Most people seen the British flag, you know what I mean? So now we can let
Yeah,
them,
you know.
you know what I'm
Go
saying?
ahead. Yeah.
No, you got it. You got it.
I would say, there's a bunch of ignorant white boys running around with that flag on their truck, all over the place. So I used to get into it, and that's why I was kind of curious. I used to snap that flag off their trucks and burn that sucker.
Yeah.
I ain't lying. I was
Yeah.
different, but it's good to know like the real history behind it.
And that's the Masonic ritual, is for you to hate what's really yours.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, but when they yelling, they yelling nigga this and nigga
Like
that.
that,
You don't hear none of that.
yeah. They
Yeah.
making it seem like it's they shit, but they know the whole time it's ours. So when we see them find it, I mean, because for real, even hearing this information, if I see some racist person
Yeah, you
doing that
on that
type of
shit.
shit, I get heated. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
exactly. Yeah. That's why I was like, what? That's why I was curious about it. Cause they be happy to bang that flag and yell all kind of stuff at us. You feel me? Then you somebody else by that time.
Yeah, well, I wonder if I explain to them in an intelligent tone that that flag is really not theirs, are they really going to be like, well, what the fuck have I been doing all
They
my
not
life?
gonna listen because you're a brother.
Yeah, but
Because
it
you're an
ain't.
intelligent brother. They not gonna want to
Hey,
listen to
but
Talking like
that's not our
real
position.
calm, real cool. You know how Mom be talking all calm and cool and just, explaining them everything I just learned in today's Zoom. I think they'll be open to it. You know what I mean?
Man,
They'll be like, what the fuck? I can't even get mad.
it.
Excuse me. I can't even get mad at you. Like, You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That should be
That
funny
ass
as
thought what you talking about, yeah.
yeah, like I say, it's just data for us to know. This is divine space. It's not for us to be challenging, quote unquote white supremacists. Like, notice we ain't supposed to be doing that. That's not what we're here for, to convince nobody nothing. It's people gonna be ready to receive when they receive it. And we're often to say, oh, I brought up the swastika because I feel like what y'all CJ and Hassan were talking about. It's another example. The swastika.
Yeah.
Another one example of how they flip something.
Yeah,
This
I
is
know
among
that's acceptable for sure.
most ancient Buddhist temples got this.
I,
Any
I'm gonna
ancient
be
temple.
real with you. That's how I learned it. I was watching an old kung fu flick, and when they was in the Shaolin Temple, I saw that thing, and the swastika. I was like, wow. So it can't be no Nazi sign.
Who the original? That's another thing. Who the Nazis, right? Who's the Nazarenes? Tribe of Nazareth. Yahshua was a Nazi. See, they got you think everything flipped. Who the real
That's
Nazis though?
crazy.
Right? That's what everything is
So you
flipped.
mean the origin of that word means Nazarene,
Exactly.
Nazarene.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. They got you looking at the swastika like this. They got our people looking at the
Yeah.
swastika like this.
Sure do.
I know white boys that got this shit on their arm, bro.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
see the Confederate flag? Look, see that flag? They got you looking at the
Yeah.
Confederate flag, hating it.
Yeah. I mean, how can you not hate him when you see it like this?
Exactly.
Correct.
How
Correct.
could you not? Yeah, you see
If
this?
if you're not in the Morris science, you will be tricked by the foolery. And what Mom
Yeah.
said, it's all a
Yeah.
spell. to get you to
Yeah.
hate your own shit. You feel
Yeah,
me? So that gives me a way better overstanding of the situation. Um, yeah, that's deep, bro.
Remember, this is more science. You in a high degree paradigm. Remember, it's Masonic laws that's not getting this info. So
yeah,
keep that in mind. The general masses are intentionally dumbed down to hate each other and work out of their root chakra. Always be like, oh, they're trying to play me, or and they're trying to
yeah,
create chaos. That's their job, to create chaos. That's why we gotta form our own communities, because that's a form of unplugging from the matrix. Once you get 50, 100 people, on one mind, you in a bubble. We got our own economy. We're not worried about anything they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get this divine info, spread it to people that's ready to hear it, and mobilize and have them, economically, group economics. That's what's next. That's the whole point of why is all this information important? To inspire our people to unite and do business together and collaborate economically.
Yeah, I want to.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that swastika represents the four cardinal points. The center is the North Gate. People don't even know that.
Yeah. Our ancient stuff, right? Um,
crazy. That's crazy.
so now the moon and the star, the crescent and the star. So here's a couple glyphs, throughout time. So we have the crescent and the star, 4500 BC, 2800 BC, 600 BC. Why is this important? Is because that's what I box that in. Like this is some type. Oh, you Muslim? Moon and the star, that's Muslim. So the reason I'm showing you this, they got robots calling me, y'all. Uh, let somebody out. Okay, let everybody in. Um, Peace and love to everybody too. This had a good time. The robot called me, so let me greet everybody that chimed in. It's a great segue. Kyle, peace and love. That was it. Yeah, peace and love.
It's not
Peace
Callum.
and love. Peace.
So we got the moon and the star in BC time. Once again, you can't box this into like this is you must be Muslim. Now you can say Muslim, but to get to like, you must be Sunni Shiite, Nation of Islam. Like if people got boxed in perspective when they see somebody with a moon and a star ring, or some type of moon and a star regalia, right? So the importance which the ancients attribute to the moon has survived in the Orient, where the months are still lunar. Like back to the lunar calendar, right? How the Mayans had a lunar calendar, how the calendar was a zodiac wheel,
The moon and the woman.
moon and the woman, right? All
The
the
moon cycle.
moon cycle, right? So we're dealing with 7 days as a measuring stick for a week now. So on a lunar calendar, 7 days times 4 weeks, every month is 28 days. If we're dealing with a lunar calendar, ain't no leap year and all this stuff, right? So the most joyous occasion in Central Arabia is when the new moon rises to end the long month of fasting, right? So even if you're gonna end your fast, if it's tradition to end your fast at a certain phase of the moon, doesn't that mean our people was involved with the moon, or understand, or the heavens above as a culture? But most religions today, Christian or Muslim, they're gonna say stay away from that. When the moon is eclipsed, the people are horrified. Even in our own country, some farmers plant the potatoes in the full moon. 'Cause remember, like we talked about I talked about it all the time, how farmers practice more science. They got the almanac. Here's another example. Farmers are in tune with the heavens above to even plant. And the mothers wear their babies according to the phase of the moon. The new moon with a brilliant star or planet near it may have impressed the Babylonian as a favorable sign, and thus the crescent and the star became the picture word for inclinations. So this is a sign of manifestation, inclination, and manifestation. Um,
Planet energy.
yeah, because we're talking about mother son now. Mason, my son. This is the glyph from my son, mother and son. All right. So let's see here. Okay. Any questions, thoughts on that space before I transition to the next phase of my demonstration? So if you Google the monument of the Four Moors in Italy and go to images. Now, first of all, before I continue that, before I go to images, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. So the monument of the Four Moors is located in Livorno, Italy. That means it's there right now. It was completed in 1626 to commemorate the victories of Ferdinand. Remember, right? So the victories of Ferdinand, European powers, over the Ottomans. The monument features four bronze figures representing the Moors. So clearly the Ottomans are the Moors. That's just common sense, right? Right. So about the Ottoman Empire, just say the Moorish Empire. So you gotta say Muhammad II that shut down Constantine. That's the Moorish Empire that shut down Constantine and the crew, shut down Rome, turned Constantinople into Istanbul. The Turks and the Ottomans are loosely referred to as the same thing. Or the Ottomans, the Turks, the Ottomans. So all I'm saying is these are Moors. I'm not just saying it. Just look up the monument of the four Moors in Italy. Oh, what's that represent? Oh, a Christian Moor. Remember, let's look at it first. So now let's go to images so we can see what we're looking at. So this is a picture, which we always know they're gonna make them blind or blue eye looking, but this is just a Roman Moor that has four Ottoman or Muslim or Turk Sultan style ran government Moors in captive. They're celebrating the victory of conquering these Moors in this area of Sicily or Italy. It wasn't even Italy back then. 1600, it wasn't no Italy. All right, so West Asia, the conquering of some Moors, and they made a statue. Why they making a statue of that? Because we no longer under the Muslim rule. We no longer under this. It's Roman. It's a Roman jurisdiction now, finally. These people look like the slave that they talk about K through 12 in North America. These look like some slaves. That's how they're gonna promote it. Oh, these are slaves. But these is princes, caliphs, sharifs, emirs, vice regents, right?
Can we blow up an image?
Hmm?
Can we blow up an image?
Blow up image. Let's see.
Awesome.
Yeah, they are pretty small, but I mean you can see. Let me see if I can get in here.
Mhm.
Yes, yeah, but So my point is, when you're looking at this, keep in mind that the Ottomans, the Turks, and the Moors are the same people. People that data identify as black, Negro, colored are the Ottomans, the Turks, the Moors. They had sultans, the nobles, come from emperor lines, had princes. So this is common sense things that we can appeal to the people to let them know what I just said. If Ferdinand the First is conquering four Moors and is representing the victory over the Ottomans, that means the Moors are the Ottomans and the Moors are the Turks. Also, let's go back to images. Let's go back to what's Sicily? Who's the original Sicilians? Let's look at some ancient artifacts of Sicily. Up, turbans and fezzes, coat of arms. Look, the legend of Sicilian Moors, Sicilian artifacts. Why do you just see turbans and fezzes? What's this? Turbans and fezzes. Moor Sicilia. You can't even be part of the mafia if you don't have Moorish blood. That's why they call us moolies. In the old movies, and old mafia pictures, mafia movies, Godfather and um, all this type of movie. They be like, oh, they're moolies. But moolie is entitled to nobility. But moolie is a noble, just like Mayate, Maya, Mayan. That's the Mayan nobles. Like, all these things have been flipped to make you think it's derogatory and make you want to hate people. Any thoughts on that space? Also, I wanted to make sure everybody comprehends. We've been going over this, but when we're looking at the United States, USA, it's important. For the most important part, like I say, we're trying to wake our people up, explain how things came about. What is this? What is that? New England colonies. Don't ever forget in your demonstration when people ask you, the US, this is the US, this is, what do you mean? Explain to them what the US is. Tell them about the Articles of Association. What is the Articles of Association? This is a document that created the Association of the United Colonies of New England, now called the United States. With the then existing Continental Congress, the colonists at this time were fed up with the treatment that they were receiving from the British or the British Moors, the British noble families, of which they were subjects of, as they were brought to the North American land to work in the plantations, companies of the British located into North American continent. They came to the existing Continental Congress at Philadelphia on September 5th, 1774, and asked for assistance to be freed from the tyranny of the British Moors or the British. They were advised to make their Declaration of Independence, of which they did a year later in 1776. And we already know about the Treaty of Paris and all that. This action is what established their association by agreement or constitution and led to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, which are the rules of the sea for them once they were freed, and led to the supreme law of the land, the Constitution of 1791, once they were freed. This Article of Association is what Prophet Noble Drew Ali was talking about when he said, since the Constitution of 1774 has not been changed. He was pointing you to the important chronology regarding history, which led to the reasonings for the laws that comprise the Supreme Constitution of 1791 and the supreme issue and deeds for your foremothers or forefathers that you must place your trust in. That means you are to enforce a supreme law as it is scribed to keep you from being molested by other citizens, i.e., the United States of America, who operate on North American land as a union company comprised of member states. Um, so that, especially for the new brothers, that information, I think is good as a speaking point. And I like to just simply say, look, they doing business as the USA. That's their DBA. But who are they? Who's the people behind the DBA doing business as? The New England colonies. Or people were here before that, right? So we have nothing to do with I like to say the Pilgrim crew. We're not the Pilgrim crew, right? Um, um, so look over the Articles of Association in depth when you get a chance. But I will go over a little bit. Is somebody finna say something?
Yeah, I wanted to add in that, for example, the state of Virginia is actually, there's two Virginias, right? There's two companies, one in London, and then the other in Virginia is actually a subsidiary. And I just wanted to add that in because of you mentioning the 13 colonies and the United States operating here in Mexum as a foreign entity here on the land. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's light that Virginia is actually, we all know that, but it's a company, it's a subsidiary to a company in London. I yield. I just wanted to add that small tidbit in there.
Islam. And I won't go into the whole document, but just to summarize, like, you know, once again, they're doing business as the USA, but the land is not the USA. That's a company. And when you look at their articles of organization, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at that company's articles of organization, how they got established. Now, who are the people? Look how they even started off. We, His Majesty's most loyal subjects. So that means they were subjects, right? Right. Now, who are these people? Delegates of the several colonies of New Hampshire, Massachusetts Bay, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, the three lower counties of Newcastle, Kent, Sussex, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So at Continental Congress, they had a meeting in Philadelphia in 1774.
Also, hey Mafia, I also wanted to add in that very beginning line in the Articles of Association mentioning the geez, the very what's the very beginning they mentioned His Majesty. I just
Right.
wanted to make note that they're paying homage to the magnanimous Sultan of Morocco, by the way, when they mention that to His Majesty and subjects of. I yield.
Right. And that too, that's another thing. It lays down a pecking order. And that's why they gotta convince you, black, Negro, color, you're not from here, you got shipped here, all this type of stuff. So it gets you away from knowing that the Pilgrim crew, you, you were their higher ups, you were their superiors. That's what they don't want you to know. They want you to think you was a slave. But if they're calling our Sultan Your Majesty, thank you for allowing us to get away from those brutish Moors, those British Moors. They was treating us bad. Thank you for allowing us to organize and form a treaty. If it wasn't for this treaty, we would be an unrecognized nation. We're not under a sovereign power. We Slavs from Britain and England, but we just disconnected from them. And this is not Britain or England over here. So if it wasn't for this treaty, man, we'd be in no man's land. What would we do without y'all Moors over here? So I'm saying that with enthusiasm, just to have y'all thinking and comprehending how things went down over here. So to double down on that, Benjamin Banneker Bay, to put this in more perspective as well. Remember, before George Washington, and it's another reason why I don't talk about this space in history, because I don't want you going before George Washington. They want you thinking he's the number one, he's the first president. That's where this show starts with him. Because when you do that, you bury the Moorish paradigm. You bury the sultans and the seven people before him, John Hanson, Benjamin Banneker Bay, all these melanated presidents. Right? All these Moors. So here's a letter from Benjamin Banneker Bay, Chief Justice Ben Bay, to Thomas Jefferson in 1791, mind you, the same year the Constitution was ratified for the U.S. The letter to Thomas Jefferson from Chief Justice Benjamin Banneker Bay clarifies his participation in teaching government to the colonists, in creating the almanac that he gave as a gift to Thomas Jefferson, and his participation in designing the White House for the use of the colonists as a connection to their motherland as defined in what a colonist is. The European colonists are not Americans. They're European colonists who have managed through trickery, deceit, and murder to sit in the seats of power. Now, my highlight is to highlight the fact that Benjamin Franklin was assisting Thomas Jefferson and the crew on how to organize a government. It took 7 presidents, no, 8. If George Washington the ninth, is 8 Moors that had to sit and make sure do y'all got it yet? Can y'all run? Can we? Right. We giving y'all a demonstration on how to run it. Y'all studied the Iroquois Confederation. That's how y'all even named y'all stuff, the Articles of Confederation. That's the next document. After the Articles of Association, then it was the Articles of Confederation. That's when they start getting their founding fathers and all that together and all that. But they studied how we ran, right? Why they calling their thing the Articles of Confederation? Because they studied the Iroquois Confederation to learn how to run government in the first place. They learned from the Moors that were already here that had tribes and clans, what they called tribes and clans, but really was nation states. And they saw how it was running the show, how the real Americans was running the show. The people that got the Taj Mahal style buildings that they try to blow up and call Area 51 right now, they was looking at how we were running the show. You look at St. Louis and look at Chicago, old maps, as late as the 1801, it's looking like, Pakistan or something. Like, I'm talking about onion domes, copper domes. You know what I mean? So they got to blow all this stuff up, but before they blow it all up, what these colonists were seeing, how the nobles was living. And it wasn't half naked in tents and teepees. Royal silks. The Silk Road was connected to the Americas, all the way here to Manchuria. All right, so I wanted to add that. Any thoughts, statements, comments? Any level? And I did the demonstration on Arian, right? I'm actually do a live on that actually probably later. But everybody here, I did the demonstration, I think, on the original Aryan Brotherhood and how that go from what they call it. So the ancient Iranians were called the Aryans, and the ancient Aryans were the Moors. And I showed a picture of how the Saudi Arabian, Afghan with the crown chakra rings and all that, how they was melanated. I believe everybody saw that demonstration. Something else. Oh,
Hey,
that's
Mafi, also, You got me thinking here. You know, Chicago, historically, they had a great fire. It made me want to do research on that, and that transpired back in the 1800s. I can't I can't quite remember the exact year, but it had a great fire in which the vast majority of the city was burned to the ground. I wonder what that had to do with.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that's what look up. What were the tactics of Reconstruction? When you Google the Great Book Burnings and the Reconstruction Act, that's what it was about. Blowing stuff up, burning books. Delete the old anything that's part of the old world. Try your best to delete it from the people's consciousness. So yeah, that's what they was doing, blowing something up. Like I say, a Taj Mahal style building, some grand Tatarian cathedral looking something, and they replaced it with a tent or a teepee, a tent. They start playing Wild Wild West movies on TV. It gets you thinking these Indians looking like this, half naked and all this, hunters and gatherers. That's Reconstruction, by the way. All these Wild Wild West old movies, cowboy Indian flicks, that's part of the Reconstruction. That's the operation. That's actually FBI CIA operation to get because they control the media. So that remember, once they started turning us, classifying us as Negro, once we was in the Indian camps, now what you looking on TV, remember they control that. And they want you looking at TV too, not reading. So once you looking at TV, you buying into everything they talk about because they version of history. Oh, the Indians was this. Oh, the dark people was this. Kunta Kinte. Now you fought that.
Yeah,
You feel me? Now you're not indigenous to the land no
yeah,
more. You didn't bought in until you got shipped. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
They always made the Indians the bad guys, the natives the bad guys too.
The
yeah,
savages.
Yeah, they always made
savages.
the natives look like the bad. Everybody wanted to be a cowboy. Yeah,
But the
Hey,
part that pisses me off that they depict the natives of being Slavic in nature. That's the part that pisses me off. They don't depict the Native Americans like they should be depicted, looking just like us. And I yield.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, look at
okay.
Tarzan, right? Some of the CIA depictions, like Tarzan, the king of the jungle, swinging down the middle of the Amazon on the vine rope, controlling every animal, every living specimen species on the land, just controlling everything. But he's a interloper. He's an outsider, but he controls everything there in nature. I yield. I just threw that in there.
Yeah, they should have
And, mo-
had him be in the but it's good.
and most people look at Tarzan and think that's Africa, but that's South America. All the
That's
jungles in the
South
world,
America. Yeah.
South
Oh, that's
America.
South America. Oh, because they had the tigers and all that too, huh? Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
it ain't,
Yeah,
it ain't no. Now, how many jungles? What jungles is in Africa? That's all plains and stuff over there. Most of the jungles is in South America, Central America. You know what I mean?
that
So
makes sense.
the jig is up, man. They didn't play us so long. It's like, man, it got to be
Oh,
over.
so Tarzan was supposed to be like South American. That
Yeah,
was supposed to take place there.
Yeah. The
Okay.
Amazon. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, okay. I thought they were taking another brother and just putting like a white boy in his place. You know what I mean? And making it like he was in the jungle doing the type stuff. But that makes sense though.
That too.
If you want to see if you want to see history played out in a movie, watch the Ten Commandments, the original from the 50s. Oh, it's gonna make you laugh, man. They wearing turbans, fezzes, everything. Everyone is like pale skin with a turban and a fez on.
That's
All the
crazy.
police, everyone. It's crazy, bro. Check that movie out if you get a chance.
10 Commandments.
The
Yeah.
Ten Commandments. Right, right.
And so you're gonna get the story of Moses going, talking to the burning bush. He up in the mountains for 40 days or 40 nights.
Right, right.
But remember, we went to a demonstration I think a couple weeks ago. What that mean? He just simply meditated, went within, and he knew himself to a degree, and he disciplined himself to a degree. For now, he ready to interface with the people, and be the light. You know what I mean? So, um, look at that too when you watch the movie.
Yes,
These
sir.
symbolic things that are just that. You know,
I'm
he
gonna
ain't
check
just
it
getting
out tonight. Yeah.
no, he ain't getting gray hair in 40 days. He went to the mountaintop. He came back down. He got gray hair. Just know that's symbolic for the wisdom. You know, just want to throw that in there.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
Anybody else got any thoughts, statements for read the Circle 7 and ultimately close out? So, we chimed in the beginning. We were talking about in 2 weeks. Um, we're gonna start doing a live on Instagram where we have a topic. We're gonna start it from 1 to 2. Um, so yeah, any more? I want to tap in and be part of that panel. We want to have at least 4 feathers interpret at all times. If somebody gotta go, we want to replace them. Have somebody else because you can only have 4 max on the screen, and we're gonna use that, another platform to push everything we got going. Try to do some fundraising for the Land Trust Project. Let people know we exist. We'll be about the organization. Uh, Answer any miscellaneous questions that the public may have on the Instagram live. Uh, FYI, putting that out there. That was what was talked about in the beginning of the meeting as well. Let's see. All right, so we're dealing with chapter 31, holy instructions from the prophet, dealing with justice. I don't know why my hand up, but I can't get it down. The peace of society dependeth on justice, the happiness of individuals on the safe enjoyment of all their possessions. Keep the desires of thy heart, therefore, within the bounds of moderation. Let the hand of justice lead them aright. Cast not an evil eye on the goods of thy neighbor. Let whatever is his property be sacred from thy touch. Let no temptation allure thee, nor any provocation excite thee to lift up thy hand. To the hazard of his life. Defame him not in his character. Bear no false witness against him. Corrupt not his servant to cheat or forsake him. And the wife of his bosom. O tempt not to sin. It will be a grief to his heart which thou canst not relieve, an injury to his life which no reparation can atone. In thy dealings with men, be impartial and just, and do unto them as thou wouldest thou should do unto thee. Be faithful to thy trust, and deceive not the man who relieth upon thee. Be assured, it is less evil in the sight of Allah to steal than to betray. Oppress not the poor, and defraud not of his hire the laboring man. When thou selleth for gain, hear the whispering of conscience, and be satisfied with moderation. Nor from the ignorance of thy buyer take any advantage. Pay the debts which thou owest, for he who give thee credit relieth upon thy honor, and to withhold from him his due is both mean and unjust. Finally, O son of society, examine thy heart. Call the remembrance of thy aid. Call remembrance to thy aid. And if in any of these things thou have transgressed, make a speedy reparation to the utmost of thy power. So I like this, one of my personal favorite chapters right here. We're talking about nobility, character, justice, universal karma. You know, your dealings with humans. Um, just trying to get better as a person. Every incrementally. You know, driving towards that. When you have a society of people that are trending in that arena, it's better for longevity. Um, just keep in mind, as we fall short, that's what the community is for as well. Some brothers and sisters might just need somebody to talk to, vent, keep these things in mind. Um, Everybody doesn't have communities to feel comfortable to tap into that too in that space. So keep in mind that this is a platform for that as well. Rather in a group setting or one on one. Somebody say something? Okay. Um, any thoughts, statements, comments, questions, concerns on any level? I'm gonna close out in prayer, uh, stop the recording, and just see how everybody's doing. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah, my protector, my guide, my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Amen. So let me turn this recording on.